Good morning. It's Tech Talk today. It's a Tuesday, June 10th. My name is Chris.
Hi, and I got the headlines. I'm Chase.
Hey, Chase. Welcome back. Good to have you here today.
Wow, it feels weird. This seat is still warm.
From yesterday.
That's right.
So today we have a lot more to talk about than we had yesterday.
That's right. Well, the announcements were just getting underway for all the major game companies.
They call it Day Zero.
Day Zero?
I think that's cheap.
You can't, no.
They call it Day Zero, but it's because the doors actually opened to E3 today.
Yeah, the Expo Hall.
But yesterday we got Sony's announcements, we got Microsoft's announcements, we got EA, Ubisoft, and I think Nintendo's actually going on right now. So what we're going to do today for you guys and gals is we're going to run down some of the E3 headlines, and then we'll get to the tech headlines. We'll discuss some stuff. So Chase, you found an excellent roundup of some of the things that were announced.
Yeah, that's right. Oddly enough, came from PC Gamer.
Huh, funny how that works.
Funny how that works.
Why is that odd?
Well, because, most of the stuff that you find out from the show, from the big companies, are about their consoles. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So that's why it's a little...
Irony is thick.
Yeah.
Yes. So anything that jumped out at you?
Well, first off, obviously, Microsoft got underway yesterday morning while we were on the air.
Right.
And the first thing, I think we actually have we don't have a clip, but we were hearing it in real time, that this conference was all about games. So So we're going to get into detail about that.
We do have and that...
a little bit later.
What's funny is because in our pre-show we had talked about, Microsoft is sort of gotten a bad rap for not being about the games. And then when they came out on stage...
Boom,
they said today, this is a quote, "Today we are dedicating our entire briefing to games." And they really did that. They went from one gameplay sequence to the next gameplay sequence, maybe a rendered scene here or there to the next gameplay sequence. Not a lot of fluff. Just they would bring somebody up, here's the game, somebody would go away.
But we all know why they did that. And the reason why was because last year, in their pre-E3 presentation, it was not all about the games. It was all about sports, entertainment.
Right.
And people got pissed.
Well, no, it didn't sell consoles. Because I looked at that and goes, well... I buy a console to play video games.
Yeah, that's right.
Gonna skip this one.
Yep.
And the sales numbers show the PlayStation 4 is now the number one selling next generation console.
That's right.
So anything else on that list that you want to cover?
Well,
a lot of good games.
Yeah, a lot of great games. EA had some major announcements. Now, this is the kind of funny thing I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Battlefield Hardline is a new game from EA and DICE, where basically it's a futuristic cops and robbers situation, and it was leaked. "Quote-unquote leaked out there." The trailer got leaked out to the public. Well, it is now confirmed. Battlefield Hardline is going to be coming out in October.
Are you excited?
Well, actually, not only excited, a little excited, but I am entered in the closed beta.
Oh, so, look at you being fancy.
So I actually, it's sitting on my computer begging to be played.
Really?
Right now.
You already have it?
Yeah, it's installed, ready to go.
Damn, dude, you are excited. Yeah. Okay, I got
you. Well, you get a closed beta key, you pull the trigger on it. Also, the new Mirror's Edge prototype footage was shown at the show, which is great.
What did you think of the Assassin's Creed co-op?
Well, it kind of makes sense because it's been needed.
It's refreshing, too.
Well, it's been one of the most fantastic single-player games ever, especially with the covert operations that you have to do. And now, to do it with a friend... That's even better.
That's pretty cool. You know what? There's a couple of games that caught my attention. One of them we don't really have many details on. I was a little disappointed we didn't get to hear more, but we do have a teaser image of the new Star Wars Battlefront, which is under heavy development right now. In fact, they're being pretty tight-lipped with the news, but there is a little trailer that we have linked in the show notes if you guys want to check it out.
Now, Chris, there was another big major announcement, which I think is not too much a surprise for a lot of people. But Rockstar was making the announcement that Grand Theft Auto 5 is not only coming to PC this fall, but it is also coming to the next-gen or current-gen consoles, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Yeah.
Yes, both the PS4 and the Xbox One and the PC. This, I think, was the thing that I took away from this set of announcements the most so far, in that it's really not so much a game of exclusives anymore. I mean, obviously, these platforms have their exclusives. Microsoft's got their Halo, and they will continue to have their exclusives for a long time. Nintendo's got some great ones, too.
Yep.
But the independent big game title companies, they don't want to be restricted to one manufacturer anymore.
No.
They're more in a position of power than ever. And also, now that these consoles are technically more aligned, and I think this is playing a big role in it because you're no longer building for a G5 processor and a cell processor.
No.
You're targeting x86, right?
Right, yep.
And that fundamentally makes it easier for them to make these games available on both consoles. So it's technically less work, it's more revenue for them, and they're in more positions of power now.
I'm going to take it one step further. Since they are being developed for x86-based consoles, we're seeing more games that are also going to come out on PC.
Yes.
So you'll have an exclusive.
Yes.
Say, for example, and we've already seen it with Titanfall. It was exclusive to the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, but we also got a PC release.
Right.
So PC gamers, while some may complain like, "Oh, this is all about consoles. This is all console." No, you got to look.
Really not.
You got to look deeper.
Yeah.
And you're getting a lot more.
Like I was talking to Rika, we were just kind of chatting down the list of some of the games that came out, and we both kind of came to the conclusion, it's like, yeah, there's some good games, but the ones we really, really, really want to play, for the most part, are going to be on the PC.
Oh, well.
For the most part.
A big game, which maybe not be big here in the U.S., but like FIFA 15, big soccer game, they are now going to be doing that in the Ignite engine for the PC.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
So the next gen console, so Xbox One and PS4 this year had that Ignite engine. I want to say Ignition. For some
Just
reason.
call it Ignin. That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically it's going to be new player models, new AI. It's one of those things where it's a world game, right? So I'm excited for that.
Yes.
Obviously, this is just day one.
Right.
Rainbow Six Siege was unveiled by Ubisoft.
Yes.
Far Cry 4, which probably will not run on any system because it's always notorious to really challenge systems, was also announced.
One game that surprised me more than I thought, and I'm going to tell you about one game that I knew we were going to see, but I'm really excited about. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
But one game that surprised me how good it looked was the new Tomb Raider game, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I don't know.
Extra Angelina Jolie?
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
When I watched this at first, when I first started watching this trailer, I didn't know it was Tomb Raider. And I was all in on this. And I'm like, whoa, this looks like a fantastic freaking game. And then later on, they're like, oh yeah, bro, it's Tomb Raider. And I was just... So anyways, that was my surprise interest, is because Tomb Raider is one of those games that, like, I got a Matrox video card back in the day, and I put like a memory doubler on it. That way I could play Tomb Raider with extra resolutions. So it has I have a soft spot for it. But the other game that when I have played with Steam streaming, where I've streamed a Steam game from a Windows box to my Linux desktop.
Yeah.
It was my first time I ever got my hands on the Batman games because I bought them for like a crazy sale on Steam. For super crazy cheap, and then I never played them because they're only available for Windows. So I turned on Steam streaming, and all of a sudden I had the Batman games, and I had no idea how good these Batman games are.
Oh, they're some of the best games ever.
Unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And so Batman Arkham Knight, I am all excited about. Even if it's only available for Windows, I'll be buying it and playing it through Steam streaming. It looks incredible, and the Batman games are so hardcore, and they add so much depth. Like, Batman in the video games is so much cooler than Batman in the movies.
Yep.
So that's one of the games I'm excited about.
And just to give a little tease for Linux Unplugged a little bit later, Alienware.
Oh, don't even get me.
I'm just saying a tease. Oh. They finally released details on their Steam machine.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to tune in later and get Chris's thoughts on that.
I'm not happy. Very unhappy. We'll be talking about that in Linux Unplugged.
Is that a tease or what?
Yeah, that's a tease.
That's a tease.
I'm upset. I'm really upset.
That's a tease.
Yeah. Can I talk a little bit about a piece of hardware that I'm pretty interested in? It's not brand new, but it's new to us.
Yeah, well,
is there anything else you want to cover game-wise?
No. I mean, it was one of those things that I actually, I uncovered last night. I was like, Chris, we got to talk about it today.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's the PlayStation TV, and
television.
Like the way Chase explained it, it's kind of like I'll play a little clip from IGN about it.
So basically, what it will do is it's like a mini little set-top box for your system.
Damon here with IGN News.
Oh, well,
there you go.
PlayStation Vita TV.
Ooh.
The new micro console lets you play Vita games on your TV without an actual Vita handheld, and does a few other things as well. About the size of a deck of cards, the device is a card slot for Vita games, which will be controlled on the big screen with the DualShock 3. It also accepts Vita memory cards and lets you play PS1 classics and PSP games through it. In addition to games, Vita TV will also support streaming video services like Hulu and Netflix.
Hey-o.
Another interesting feature is that it lets you play your PlayStation 4 via Remote Play with the DualShock 4, although this functionality will come later via a system update. PS Vita TV launches in Japan on November 14th and will cost about $100. A special edition, packing an 8 gig Vita memory card and a DualShock 3 controller will cost about $150. It should
And it comes with the Lego Movie, too. So they're saying $100 here in the U.S. when it does become available. Also in Australia and European and PAL markets, it says it'll be Australia for $150. So they used to be called the PS Vita. It's just going to be called the PlayStation TV here in America.
Well, the Vita is a portable console.
Right. It says here that Vita titles, I see. Yeah. Okay. See, I don't follow the Sony handheld
Yeah, it's
stuff.
okay, Chris.
I'm glad you're here, Chase.
That's all right. That's all right.
So I'm going to start with you, and then we'll ask the Mumble Room. Are you skeptical of a Sony streaming device? First of all, does Sony have the the back-end know-how to do this?
All right, I think it's a little overpriced for what it can do.
$100?
Well, here's the thing: a lot of people. What's the market here? Are they trying to go in?
I'm the market.
Yeah, but they're going to you for someone who doesn't have a console. I guess, right?
Because exactly. That's what I think. Yeah, because I don't particularly feel the need to spend $500 on a console.
All I'm saying is, why couldn't they add some of these significant features into the PlayStation 4?
Why couldn't they add them to the PS3 via software? I'm sure it has the horsepower to do streaming.
Yeah, or just play Vita games, and come on.
What do you think? Anybody in the Mumble Room skeptical? Do you like it? Would you want to buy one? Do you think Sony can pull it off? Ick, you say no?
I'm skeptical, and here's why. I have a Sony Blu-ray player that I can stream stuff to, like from Netflix and Hulu. The problem is, every time I do that, it's going back to Sony's servers in order to pull the content and stream it back. So it's just like, are they going to be able to pull that off? Because I've had times where that crashes, and
or downloads take forever.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, Noah, let me appeal to you. Noah, you're a busy guy. You got a lot of work to do. You got stuff to take care of. You got a kid. If you could spend, I don't know about you, but I like to game, but I just don't have a lot of time to do it. If you could spend 3 times the less money and still be able to have access to 1,000 PlayStation titles, stream Netflix, so it also turns whatever TV you hooked up into Netflix capable and Hulu and all that stuff, which I know you're not a Netflix customer, but just keep that in mind. Would you, Noah, be interested in something like the PlayStation TV?
So, Chris, I think it does have an audience, and I think there are certain aspects that appeal to me, but here's my issue with Sony. I have a philosophical problem with Sony because they seem to be on the leading edge of DRM at every turn.
True.
And then my other problem with Sony is I was looking, I don't really do a whole lot of console gaming, but I went to look at a few different gaming consoles, and I had 2 buddies. One had an Xbox, one had a PlayStation. And before I even ever saw the PlayStation, the guy that had the Xbox goes, it updates constantly. And sure enough, we walked into his basement, turned it on, and it starts updating. And if I sat down to watch a movie or a TV show...
Yeah, you don't want to wait for an update.
That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
And what do I get with that I don't get with, like, say, a Roku or the Western Digital TV Live?
Right. Well, and Lionhead, is that kind of your point? I mean, you've got a PlayStation 3 now. It does Netflix. It streams your home media content. Are you set there? Would you be interested in maybe getting a PlayStation TV over a PS4?
No, I'm fairly... content with having the PS3. It does everything. It does it nicely. I have a good LAN, good connection in. So I don't see the need to upgrade or pay for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think, too, it's like we got to see where the Fire TV is going to go and see what it can do gaming-wise, because it's got Plex, it's got Netflix. You know, for me, the Fire TV seems like if I was going to buy it...
Well, it depends on what games you want to play, of course, Chris.
Right,
I mean, you're not going to get Sony
if
PlayStation
I'm a
games.
GTA hardcore guy, or,
Right.
there's something that's
you
on
play
that...
some throwback stuff.
Yeah, okay, but you found an article here where it
well,
says...
I remember a couple of years ago, and I did a quick Google search.
Look at you!
Sony bought a company by the name of Gaikai for $380 million, and back then, this was a couple of years ago, notice the date, July 2nd, right around E3, actually shortly thereafter of a couple of years ago, they bought this company for the future of being able to stream gaming content. It's a cloud-based gaming service.
There you go. So they bought somebody with a back end.
Right. So here's the biggest issue that I have still to this day with Sony stuff is when I ever play anything online, it is awful. I mean, when I play against other people in baseball, and this is even on like Sony first-party titles.
Well, and also kind of like what Noah was saying is, I went through I lost all of my media collection, I don't know, a year or two ago. I can't remember how long it was. I lost everything. Years and years and years of backing up discs and all that kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, okay, well, this is my chance to take a clean break. and just stream everything from the cloud. And I did pricing spreadsheets and figured out like, okay, if we bought from Amazon and did Netflix and Hulu Plus and blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, what I realized is these streaming systems, I don't get to keep any of it. They go down. Their quality is variable. Their licensing situations change randomly, and I have no insight into how they're going to change. And now I made the decision, no, I'm going to rebuild the local collection. I'm going to have all of my own media. I'm going to archive it all myself, and I'm going to make that investment in the storage. And now I've been thankful that I have, because there has been shows that have just disappeared off Netflix that we can no longer watch. There have been times where Netflix, just a little while ago, for convenience, I decided to stream an episode of Star Trek over Netflix because I was doing it on a tablet, and it wouldn't load. And I was like, oh, that's right, I have the Plex app. And I just switched over and played it from my local collection. And right there, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I have a local connection, because it works every time I press play. And for me, when you switch over to something like the PlayStation TV or Ouya, and all of those games are never downloaded to your computer, you could never archive them off. That to me is, I think I would like us all to have a really serious conversation about the implications of that before we all just jump in and spend money on this stuff.
Well, this is only going after the people who actually have those decent enough connections, and I think obviously Sony and a lot of these companies realize that there's limits to the kind of capital that they can pull in just based on the fact that we have ISPs that are also entertainment companies that are conflicted. I mean, you take Comcast, for example, they want to offer 105 megabits download and give you an incredible connection, but then they want to cap you because they don't want you to use that connection only for your entertainment purposes. And so,
well, why don't we talk about Netflix next? Because that kind of fits right with that. So, right before we do that, this would be probably a good spot before we go too much further to say thank you to our patrons.
You have patrons too?
Patreon.com/today is how you can support Tech Talk Today and also help us invest in the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. And you look at the milestones we have here, and I've put cute names in there like Barbecue Challenge or Let's Go Big. In reality, these are milestones for levels of revenue we'd like to raise for the Jupiter Broadcasting Network to make investments we need. Jupiter Broadcasting is at a size now where really to accomplish much more, we need staff. Initially, with these funding levels, we're going to be able to hire contractors when we need them. But beyond them, we're going to need to actually have employees, and there's a couple of ways we can do that. I can do it through crowdfunding at patreon.com/today, and then this is how we fund it. You guys who consume the content pay for the content, and we become beholden to you. Or I sell ads. And guess what? I'm really good at reading ads. And advertisers love it when I read their ads because I sell their product. And I'm happy to do that, but I would prefer to go crowdfunding. And I really want to push this because we are at a critical point at the Jupiter Broadcasting Network where if we are all working very, very hard. We're working late nights and early mornings to make this content possible.
Literally.
And there is a lot of pressure to increase advertising. And I think the better approach is to actually do what we've all talked about, have truly independent media that is owned by its audience. And you can help make that possible by going to patreon.com/today. Now, if you can't afford it, it's fine. You can put different amounts in there, too. That's what's one of the cool things about Patreon.
Yeah, you can put any amount that you want to, and you can change it at any time. So if you have things that happen in your life, as they do in mine and everyone else's, you can make those changes on the fly, and it doesn't affect anything. You just make what you feel is appropriate.
We have different pledge amounts, too, that give you an idea of what your dollar amount goes to, and we also have a swag club.
Ooh.
We're going to be working on special swag for Tech Talk Today investors because these people are people that are investing in the whole network. And what we're doing is we are trying to really use the Patreon system to go crowdfunding where possible. So we have some shows on Patreon that are more expensive shows or shows that really should be crowdfunded like Unfilter.
Right.
And then we have shows like this where this is really a way for I get here in the mornings, I hang out with you guys, we talk about the tech headlines, we bring our friends on, we talk with them. And it's a great way to fund the network, too, that you love. And if you can afford it, we'd appreciate your support. Patreon.com/today. And I'm trying to post up exclusives there for the patrons from time to time, too.
Exclusives are fun.
Yeah, I'm a busy guy, so I don't do it all the time. But I try to put up a couple of weeks. So
I saw your selfie video talking about your third milestone being hit. No, that's very cool.
I was thinking we should do one today before you go.
I think
if we have time. I know you have to run here. Anyways.
I always got time for a selfie.
Always got time for a selfie, Chase. Always got time. All right, patreon.com/today. And hey, thank you everybody who is supporting us. 157 of you are awesome.
Yep.
You guys really make a difference.
Just imagine if every person that listens to this show, every person puts in $1. That's all you have to do. Every person that puts in $1, That is immense.
Yeah, if it was me though, I'd want in that swag club.
Right. But I'm just saying, you say you look at YouTube, for example, and say this episode gets 1,500 views. Does every person that viewed it put $1 in?
That'd be crazy.
But it's
done.
But that's the beauty of crowdsourcing.
All right, so let's talk about this Netflix story. So last week I talked about Netflix was testing this message. I'm sorry, your video is not playing right now because the Verizon network is crowded.
It's congested.
Right. It actually used the word crowded. And
wait, is this my traffic report? Is there too much traffic?
Yes.
Yeah.
We could do internet traffic report. So Verizon saw this and sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix. And Netflix responded with one of the best letters ever. I'll leave it in the show notes. They
great.
They tear them a new one and basically say, you are not delivering to your customers. You even upsell your service based on better access to Netflix, and then you under-deliver. We will be ending our testing, they do say, in June. So they are going to turn off that message. However, they also state they might turn it on in the future, too. They say, in the letter they state, we started a small-scale test in early May that lets consumers know while they're watching Netflix that their experience is degraded due to the lack of capacity into the broadband provider's network. We are testing this across the U.S. whenever there is significant and persistent network congestion. This test is scheduled to end on June 16th, and then we will evaluate rolling it out more broadly.
So here's what I feel about this, Chris, if you don't mind. Verizon will not sue. And I don't think they will. And the reason why...
Well, they would bust this thing wide open if they do, right?
Well, the reason why they won't sue is that there's one word during the whole lawsuit process that I love to share with people. It's called discovery.
Oh, yes.
And what would happen is during that discovery period, that's when both sides have to share information back and forth, to build cases and that sort of thing.
It'd be quite embarrassing.
It'd be quite embarrassing, especially to Verizon. And the reason why is because
they are underfunding their network.
Not only are they underfunding, but Netflix is hedging their bets, and rightly so, that not only they're not doing the investments into their network, but I bet you at some points they are intentionally squeezing the traffic down. So you have these issues because remember, Verizon is also an entertainment company. Well, they provide that kind of a service.
What's really got Netflix upset is they already signed a deal with Verizon. They just haven't implemented the deal. And the other thing, and they talk about this in the demand letter.
It's been a month now since they signed that deal.
Have you seen these Netflix boxes that they give the ISPs?
Yes.
Have you heard about these? We talked about them a lot in TechSnap. And
content boxes.
And they have offered these to Verizon for free. They go and install them even if they want them to.
Yeah.
And Verizon has declined. So not only have they degraded Netflix performance, and not only have they not implemented a signed deal that they made with Netflix to improve performance, but they also are refusing these free, essentially CDN boxes that cache the most popular Netflix content inside their network.
Yep.
It's dirty play. It's dirty play.
Yep.
And one last bit of dirty play before we get out of here. You might have heard that finally a computer passed the Turing test and fooled a person into thinking that it was an actual human being that it was having a conversation with and not a computer.
Was this a 75-year-old man who was a grandpa? Oh my God, it was a computer.
It was actually several judges, and they 33% of them or something like that voted that they. Yeah, I know it was kind of funny. And here's tell me if this doesn't just set off red flags immediately.
All right.
13-year-old boy is what it pretended to be from Ukraine. The computer that they were talking to.
I'm face palming.
Yeah. Because right there, the reason they did that is because then the person talking to them says, well, I would expect them to have some world knowledge and knowledge about the world around them, but not too much if they're 13.
And I would expect them to pause every other sentence because they're 13 and from a far place away.
And second of all, it wasn't even a supercomputer. It was actually just a chatbot script. So that's number one. It was a script made to mimic human conversation. There was
your name?
There was no artificial intelligence involved. It was just a very complicated script. There's also been plenty of other chatbots that have actually passed the same test. It's not that weird. In fact, there's been other chatbots that passed with a higher percentage rate of the judge thinking it was human. This one got 33%. There's actually been one that passed before they got 59%. It beat the Turing test by gaming the rules, by telling people the computer is a 13-year-old boy from Ukraine in order to explain the mentally odd responses. The rules of the Turing test have always seemed to change. That's another thing to consider, so we don't know what set of rules were applied. And the guy who did this has also has proclaimed in the past that he was the world's first cyborg back in the year 2000. That he implanted a chip in him, and he was so he's kind of been known for leading the press on and
now we have to be worried about the Terminator. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
Well, maybe
becoming self-aware.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's also just some debate about the test itself. So, all in all, sorry guys, sorry to disappoint you.
Don't stress.
Actually, no, that's good. Actually,
Yeah.
Good news, everybody. The computers haven't beat us yet. Think about it that way.
Hey, not yet.
Not yet. Hey, Chase, we do have one bit of feedback before we go today.
Ooh.
Remember we talked about Popcorn Hour yesterday?
Yeah, that's right. First rule of popcorn is not to talk about popcorn.
I guess so. So we won't say it again. I won't say it again. But Vertunda, right? Oh, that's how you say it. Vertunda. Can you say it like that? Can you roll the...
Is Vertunda.
Vertunda. He writes in, he says, hey, this might be worth mentioning. There's NaviX, a plugin for XBMC. It works similar to Popcorn Hour in crowd-funded media. Get ready for this, Chase. I had not heard of this because I've been living in Plex now for a while.
Yeah.
Navi, Navi-X. It is essentially a mesh video Plex sharing service. You know how you and I have shared Plex libraries?
Yeah.
Imagine every XBMC user automatically discovering each other and automatically sharing all of their media that they allow, and then giving you a front-end UI to search and view that and see all the movies listed that everybody who's sharing has.
Now,
it's a worldwide piracy mesh network.
Yeah, but there's only one problem, Chris. Doesn't your ISP cap you? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no kidding, right? At least I think, anybody in the Mumble Room, have you heard of NaviX before? Is anybody else not a noob on this? This is the first time I heard of it, so that's why I wanted to mention it on the show. It's something I'll look into.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I've never actually tried it.
Okay.
I'm totally noob-tastic on this one.
I have it, I just don't use it.
I mean, XBMC can do everything. Like, I talk about Plex a lot, but XBMC is really
I remember messing around with XBMC on the original modded Xbox.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of old retro gaming, now, see, that's an era of gaming that is gone. And I'm going to tell you something else, is I saved all of my Xbox CDs or DVDs to the hard drive, too.
Yep.
And I really liked it that way.
Well, I still have mine up on the shelf. I will never get rid of it because it reminds me of some of the things that were really good about it.
Did you have an Xbox Live switch so you could go on live?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's so ghetto.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, so there we go. We're going to wrap it up here. If you'd like to get a hold of the show, go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com, click on the contact link, and choose today from the drop-down. Also, we've got the subreddit. I'd love to get some more of you guys in that subreddit to help get an idea of the type of topics you want. Until then, we're just kind of shooting from the hip, kind of guessing, but you can actually give us an indication of what you want to see covered on a daily basis over at techtalktoday.reddit.com. And Mr. Nunes, where can they find a little more of you?
If they want, you can follow me on the Twitters at Nunes, Nunes, and I'll also have a link in the show notes if you want to circle me over on the Google Plus stuff. I love the engaging conversations that I get over there as well.
And you'll be back for another day of Tech Talk Today to talk more E3 with me tomorrow.
More gaming, more E3, more tech. Wait, that's the name of the show, right?
It's been great having you here. So
it's been nice.
I'm glad, because the E3 stuff, it's your world, man. You got it down.
Gaming and technology is kind of my world.
You can also follow me on Twitter at Chris Elias, and don't forget about that Patreon page. Go over to patreon.com/today and get in that swag club pretty soon, because we're going to get one round out. Oops, sorry. We got one more round coming out, and then we're going to do another one. And I'm going to order a couple of them. Once you guys see what we get, you're going to really want one. Now, I thought we normally end on a video, right? That's kind of been our thing.
Yep.
It's been our bag. And this today just felt like... you've been talking about Stowe a lot lately. You got back into Star Trek Online.
Yeah, I played some over the weekend, actually.
And I've been thinking more about video games because of E3.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of one of my favorite Ronald Jenkins songs that sort of has been on the bench since Stoked came to an end.
Oh.
And that is his wonderful Outer Space song. So we will end. It's a little long, but it's such a damn good song. Why not play it out? So we'll end today's Tech Talk today with a little Outer Space. We'll be back tomorrow. And for the rest of the week until Thursday.
I'm going to jump in my Defiant right now. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye.